Welcome, Wargamers. Join your hosts, Bonko and Monty, two Canadian wargaming enthusiasts, as we explore all aspects of tabletop wargaming. We roll dice, talk tactics, share hobby hacks, and explore new tabletop systems, all on the Trident Wargaming Podcast. Welcome back, Princeps. Here we are. I'm joined with two of the Battle Brothers. We've got Dan returning to the channel.
Hey.
And we've got Josh, who is new, but still part of the action.
Hey guys, nice to be here.
So, Josh and Dan, there are Princeps Seniores here. They're basically the big dogs in our local community right now. Cranking out a lot of the experience and kind of blazing the trails. But before we get too carried away, just may as well jump into some sweet hobby stuff. I guess we'll start with you, Dan. What have you been doing hobby-wise?
Well, currently I'm just painting trim. It just seems to be the bane of my life right now. Just trim on my Vulpa Legio to try and finish it up for an event coming up in the next week. So
Yep. Trim is life in Titanicus, it seems.
yeah.
And Josh, how about yourself? What have you been working on?
For Titanicus, I've been working on some terrain. I'm doing that for Bill for this event we're running here in a couple weeks.
Yep.
Other than that, I'm kind of doing up a little display board for my Legio. If I can get the Loyalist Best Presented Award, and yeah, I don't have much more Titans to paint up, so
that's all right.
There you go.
Yeah, Josh has been gracious enough to bust out some terrain for me and the rest of the boys to play with, and it's looking mighty sweet. One of the other guys has a set of similar buildings with red toppers, and I was talking to Josh. I'm like, yeah, let's do these ones blue, because then I know whose is whose and don't have to worry about them getting mixed up. So, but they're looking mighty sweet. Yeah,
they're good terrain. They're nice, bulky, and good cover.
Yeah. I will have some pictures floating. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll be able to see some, and we'll have the link from Mr. Cal Foxx here also in the description if you're interested in grabbing some of those STLs and printing them out yourself, because they are nice. I know he's been working on some damaged buildings as well, where it uses a little bit more filament, but as you destroy the buildings, he actually has like cubicles and like offices built inside, kind of like a hollow honeycomb structure. So definitely going all out. You know, he's not cheaping out on any of that stuff. So yeah, definitely give his link a peek and check out his bases and buildings. So yeah, for myself, it's been just getting my Titans ready to rock. Trim, trim's always a thing. I'm doing a lot of assembly line building, but I became one of those dirty bastards and grabbed one of the Liquidex professional acrylic markers, and honestly, like, it has cut the trim time to minutes. Like,
you mean it trimmed down?
It trimmed down the trim, yeah. Like, for real though, like, I got my full Warlord, like, I'm talking my Warlord done in 20 minutes. 20 minutes. And, like, I shit you not, it's pretty legit. I've got a nice color match. It's pretty much identical to the Vallejo metal color, which is the gold, the 77.725. I'll have a picture. See my mitts on this piece with next to the marker. So if you're looking for ways to cut corners, definitely check it out, because it's been a lifesaver already. So, and then yeah,
like if you go to wash it and highlight it after.
You know what? Actually,
like, those are pretty good.
It's decent. I've been basically applying it, let it dry, and then I use my gloss varnish, because I usually hit it with AK and then rough it up, get it all grimed and rusted and stuff. So, but it held up good to the varnish. It was fine with the AK on there, the streaking grime, and then using white mineral spirits to clean everything up. Everything's held up great, so no issues there. I haven't tried just raw dogging it with wash after it's been applied, but I assume it would be okay. It's quite resilient. It doesn't scratch or flake off, so it's not bad that way. So
yeah, once you seal it, you don't even really notice the difference.
No, it's quite nice. So I guess, jumping into this episode, it's going to be about where we're at right now, like locally with gaming, what Josh and Dan are liking about it. I guess let's just jump into the meat of it. How are you guys liking Titanicus? I know we all kind of recently jumped in the last, I don't know, 3 to 5 months ish, around there.
Mm-hmm.
And the majority of the community, I know everyone bought in, everyone jumped on the hype train like 2 years ago, but it's only recently we're starting to actually play games and roll dice. Like I've been kind of going hard for the last like maybe month and a half, and I've been enjoying it, but I want to hear what you guys have to say with being experienced, more of the experienced players and stuff. So
well, yeah, and basically like restrictions are dying down here, and then there was the whole because majority of us are Heresy players, and then after the Heresy came out with the rumors of 2.0, people basically just stopped playing Heresy because they didn't want to either build, or they just wanted to wait till the new edition came out. So the next best thing was Titanicus, and since we never played it for 2 years because of the plague, we basically it basically just feels like a restart to the Heresy, and especially since Siege of Terra came out, and Titan Death and Mortis and all those books about these Titans. It's just been basically a huge boost in my gaming community, my gaming experience, because I've just literally feel like I'm excited to build and paint again, and I haven't had that in a little while. So
I agree with that. I think with 30K, we all kind of felt like it was just getting a little stagnant and not the same motivation that we had before. And Titanic has been really good. Change of pace, and I think the game is really enjoyable itself. There's a lot more tactical decisions that you might not be used to making with the whole alternate activations kind of rule set.
Yeah.
And I also just think I found, because I play a lot of 40K too still, that the alternate activations is just a lot more engaging. You're never just sitting around for your opponent's turn when they shoot you to death. You still get the next move, and so it's a lot more engaging, and the games go by pretty quick because you never are just sitting around for half an hour at a time.
Yeah, it's a lot of countering and maneuvering.
It's very true. There's definitely, I know we've been talking about a little bit, is these tactical layers within the game that seem to be popping up, and there's just, it doesn't matter really how long you've been playing. There's always something kind of cooking, and depending on who you're playing opponent-wise, I think you said it best, Dan, with these kind of counter tactics of back and forth, and the alternating activations is very reminiscent of BattleTech for those who have played that before, if you're listening. But it has its own spin on it, and there's even some strats and stuff where you can steal the initiative after losing the roll. So it adds this extra layer, and I really do like that whole setup for the game. It adds a whole different, I guess, intensity to that dice roll to see who's who's gonna get initiative. So
and like I mentioned last time, it really has that Mario Kart feel of you could be first, you can be winning the whole game, and then there could just be that one, failed dice roll or that failed tactic that you did, and it changed it around. Because I know that like the last game that me and Bill played, I ended up getting a bunch of charges off, and he was a little down about it, and then all of a sudden he ended up getting a lucky punch in a Reaver. My Reaver exploded, blew up my other Warhound, and it was just chaos. And I was just like, I told you, like half my army's gone now because I rolled a catastrophic a catastrophic meltdown. And it all comes down to just luck, dice roll, and all that stuff. So that's another part of the game that I really like.
Never really feels like you're out of a game.
No, yeah.
No, that's definitely something I'm learning with the game. Like this last weekend, we got together. A few of us were able to play. Keep the rest off, work our games out. I was playing Alex.
I was gonna say.
And that game was insane. It was a crazy game. I ended up, I was on the ropes. He was, for real, like kicking the shit out of me throughout the whole game. I was losing a Titan a turn, and all I could do was strip voids off his Titans. I couldn't really do anything else. And final Hail Mary of the game, I ended up firing everything. My whole Warlord, just targeting his head on his dirty old sinister Psy Titan. And blew the Psy Titan up. Catastrophic explosion. It blew the leg off his Warlord, who had no voids, killing that. And then beside the Psy Titan was also a Reaver who blew up and ended up, all three Titans died in one round, and he only had a Reaver left, and that was the end of the game. I was like, holy shit! Like, man, that was crazy. And his face was just like, whoa, like what just happened here, right? And just quite thematic, It was pretty cool though.
Yeah.
So it's just it definitely feels, no matter how bad it is, it always feels like you've got a chance. You're never truly out. Yeah. Which is nice.
I also think it's nice. You never really lose when you're building your list. Like no matter what list you build, you still are going to have a chance in the game. Like sure, some weapons and some Titans might be a bit better than others, but I don't think there's any list that you're going to put out there that a skilled player couldn't beat a less skilled player with.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is a dice game, right? It all comes down to rolling and stuff. Literally, the last game I played with Josh, it took me 3 turns with a War Master to kill 1 Warhound, and I was just like, what's the point of this? This 1,200 point model if you can't even kill a 200 point model? And I'm just like,
Then on the other side, my War Master was deleting a Titan a turn.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And I was just like,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So.
But it's nice with the changes from other Games Workshop games that I know we've played in the past. So it's definitely got a lot of interesting points to it.
And the other thing is, if we want to integrate the community into this conversation, is that we're all kind of building it all up at the same time, right? So, I mean, I'm a little bit ahead because I had a bunch of stuff done, and then Josh went crazy. He got COVID and spent the 2 weeks just building and painting. But we're all sort of building and painting, and we're all just slowly working our way, and that I think that's part of what's making it good too, because sometimes you might not have that extra Reaver, and then you play a game and you're like, oh, that guy's got 3 Reavers, and then I really love Reavers now, and I'm like, I got to build that second or third Reaver that I have just sitting on the shelf, right? So it builds that competitive and that that drive. Drive, I guess, is the key word here, is what we're getting at.
Yeah.
Towards playing, and it's just been a huge excitement for that. And now that Bill's got an event that should be 100% solid and won't get stopped by the nonsense outside.
Yeah.
That's another thing, because that's the first event I've been to in a year, 2 years.
2 years.
I don't even remember. Yeah, I guess it would have been 2 years.
It's been an age.
Yeah.
We had that one event down in Bill's basement.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. We had some prohibition gaming in the basement and burgers and beers.
I remember you were all talking about Titanicus there. I'm like, I wonder if they're serious about it.
Yeah. Well, I won't lie. There's been a lot of talk about Titanicus the last little while, exactly, and it's finally starting to really take shape. The community, like Dan mentioned, it is pretty cool because we're starting to get people together. We're trying to do weekend gamings to blast Titans, get guys together. I've been reaching out to some of the OGs of the community, getting them coming out, rolling dice, talking to some guys. They're like, man, I haven't played in 2 years. I was like, well, come on out, and roll dice with us, because we're all kind of in the same boat. We're learning and, knock the rest off and trying to get there. And I think that's really how you got to do it. That's the best way to kind of build up the community and start getting the hype built up for these events. And this is just the first of many. I have grand plans to try and really experiment and have fun with it, and just really try to capitalize on things starting to clear up, because it's just everyone's been itching for rolling dice on the tabletop, and now that we can, and things are starting to clear up, like with the masks and everything too. It's it's going to be good. I think this is going to be a really good one.
And we've literally been sitting at home, basically looking for an itch, because we couldn't have this social aspect of the community, and now we're able to, and it's caused a big, buzz, and this is just the Titanicus community. The 40K has been going strong, so
they've been going hard.
But we've just been trying to get the Titanicus moving again, because it was there at one point. There was a group of guys that were continuing playing, and then now trying to bring it all back. Especially with all the Traitor and Loyalist books came out, it basically made it super easy to join again.
Yeah, it feels like the game's complete now. Like we've all kind of been waiting for some stuff, and it's finally there. So.
Just need an Emperor Titan now.
Right?
Well, we gotta wait for the direwolf first.
Oh,
that's true.
Oh, yeah.
It's gotta be coming soon now. They showed that off a couple months ago now.
I don't know. Heresy stuff, it's always like a year.
Yeah.
True.
Hurry up and wait.
So who knows, It'd be nice. Because there's a bunch of other Titans. They talked about in the books, in the Loyalist books and Traitor book, they basically talk, if you're scale this or that, well, those scales don't even exist to what the Titans are now, so there must be something coming. Although the Direwolf said it was scale 6, so
pretty much matching the Warhound, but just a baby version of a Nemesis.
I think there's supposed to be a melee version of the Nemesis. I can't remember.
Well, there's like a melee warlord, right? Nightbringer, is that what it's called, or something?
Something like that. Yeah.
I think like back in the old Titanicus game, they had that. It didn't have any carapace weapons, just two melee weapons. Be kind of cool.
And I'm just waiting for them to allow Reavers to have 2 missile launchers on each arm.
Well, I've seen guys like busting it out on some of the various Facebook pages, right? They got like triple missile configurations, and it's like, oh, so cool. Like, I'd love to run some of those,
Plasma on a Reaver.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No, it's good, and I'm hoping for more stuff, because I've got a few Battle Bling upgrades that are very exotic looking, but it's like, well, I don't know what I can get to use some of these for, but if they start to add on even more to the game, it'd be great. It would be great.
Yeah, there's still, I think, a lot of places they can go.
Yeah, for sure. There's, because I'm trying to think, because we need the Emperor class. I don't know if that will just be a fictional thing, or if that's like the last thing they'll bring out. But
Think how
what
big that
else?
bastard will be.
It'll be an awesome model, but it won't be that practical for gaming.
Well, if the War Master is kind of in a weird spot, being super expensive, and
Emperor class
Like
Titan will be like 4,000 points and make better terrain than it will an actual model to play with.
They'd have to do something like each arm is an activation or something, so you're not just at a massive activation deficit.
Oh yeah, hey?
No doubt.
Yeah. But I mean, I think almost everybody who's into Titanicus would get one just as a centerpiece, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's kind of like with the 28mm like Heresy gaming, right? Everyone wants to get their big toys. Everyone's got Titans of some form or shape. So I think this would just make sense for everybody to jump on and grab one. So I guess I guess diving a little bit deeper into some of the tactics and strategy behind the games, with these new Legio books, there's so many different stratagems and just little ways you can combo up some war gear and strats in game to have some really good results. Like Dan, for instance, I know with your Vulpa, they're pretty crazy. They can do a lot of cool stuff, and you have quite a system down pat for them. Do you want to talk about them a little bit, or? I know we tried. Yeah. Andy and I tried to talk about it a little bit, and I won't lie, like we fumble fucked our way through, but we didn't do it justice. So
yeah, I with Vulpa their ability is like their Legio rule is if they get within 5 inches of an enemy model, their weapon skill increases by 1 and their ballistic skill decreases by 1. So you basically want to get as close as possible, and it's it's basically the best way to explain them is they're basically just corn berserkers, I guess. They're just running up and attacking. Anyways, getting into like my strategy was, I play a double Ferox because Ferox, it allows you to get +1 to armor rolls, and it's basically your close combat maniple. But what I do is I take a lot of Warhounds with double flamers, and I give them organic protrusions, and then that way they can get 3 attacks and attack 2 inches. But I guess what really stands out in my army is I can get these 16-inch charges off, or I guess what is it, 17.9 is what you can end up is the max. So, and I'm not even using any of the bonuses that Vulpa get, which you can't for scale 6. But what it is I'm using Warlust, which gives me +2 to my boosted speed, which makes them basically a 14-inch range. And then if I need that extra couple inches, I'll give one of them Unbridled Hatred, or I'll give my Reaver Unbridled Hatred, which is like, if people don't know, if you're a Loyalist or Traitor, you actually get like a once per game ability, and the Traitors have increase their movement by 2 inches, and then they get an extra attack. So it's just this craziness of like turn 2, I'm getting all these charges off because my Warhounds are all moving 14 inches or 16 inches, and the Reavers, they get the Shakirian Conduit, which gives them 2 inches to their boosted speed, so they're getting a 15-inch charge. And it's just the faces I get from people just from seeing a charge to begin with, and then seeing them charge across the table, it's just been like them just with jaws dropped, right? It's just, that's part of the fun of it. And then it's the, oh, I got 10 dice and I'm gonna target your body now. that's when they start to feel the pain, I guess.
Yeah, that was me 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, I underestimated what that army could do, and I was shown the true path. And yeah, it was crazy. Oh, like the deployment, I think definitely helped, and I was naive on how far you could actually move. But yeah, getting those charges off, you know, from 14, 15 inches away, and just watching these warhounds just crush whatever they're hitting, and I was just like, oof, man, like it was wild. So it's definitely a defensive game you got to play against that. And it's hard because you're just prolonging the inevitable. You really are.
And I just take double flamers on warhounds just so I can get auto hits, and I'm not worrying about like rolling dice for that stuff. People are like, well, then you can't target body parts, and I'm like, yeah, but I'm already in your face, and now you got to deal with this warhound. I'm just gonna flame the crap out of you and just let the dice roll, right? So,
yeah, well, they definitely play well to your style. I know, Josh, we had talked a little bit about, you know, some of the strats that you might be able to use against that. I haven't been able to try them out yet.
Oh, you've been having secret meetings about how to beat Dan?
It's the conclave of Princeps here at the College Titanica, yeah. Yeah. Not how to beat Dan. How can we survive? How can we live? How can we not get ruffle stomped by warhounds and reavers jamming into our lines here?
My plan was to one-shot his Iconoclast in the first turn, but I don't think that works for everyone.
Yep. It will definitely set the pace of a game, that's for sure.
Dan does a really good job of using his strats to protect his Titans too, and he's walking up like on the first turn. You know, he's not going to have that shooting threat, so
that's true.
He uses some stuff to protect them and get them into range at all.
Yeah,
so and then, you know, I literally for this army, I was just like, I got to run as fast as I can up the board, charge, because, you know, a big thing in the community was nobody was really charging. Actually, to be honest, it was funny because I played Brady, who also plays Gryphonicus. He was playing a very aggressive Gryphonicus where they all had combat weapons, and then, you know, they were charging and mealing, and and he was like one punching warlords and stuff, and I was just like, how did we not know about this? And then the trader book came out, and I was like, Vulpa screams melee, and I was just like, I got to do it.
Yep.
So
he read that Trader Legio book, and he had a corn symbol on his forehead the next day. It's hardcore.
Started crying blood or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Looking at everyone's skulls, licking my lips.
Yeah, just admiring the shape of your skull.
But and then it's funny because Josh also plays Gryphonicus, and, you know, he plays it with, you know, aggressive too. And it's funny because I just started building off of these Gryphonicus guys of playing like the Ferox and you know, running up the board, and the Reavers with the, you know, chain fists and stuff like that. It's just been funny because, and then most times when I'm talking about ideas for my thing, I'm usually bouncing them off Josh, and so it's just
it's a little bit of an arms race, I think.
A little bit,
each other.
Yeah. Well, I think that scenario of the arms race. I think that's what makes the gaming so good. And I know we had that happen in the early days when we started Heresy, and we were playing like the early league, like League 1, before we were even part of like the greater community, we just had the Fever Boys out, and it was an arms race. Every game, you know, played was people were like, oh, plotting and planning and buying new shit and, you know, trying to like outsmart the other guy or outdo him. And, you know, you see weapons are changing. Guys are like, oh yeah, I'm running my Vulcan Mega Bolter and Plasma Blast Gun, to now it's like, oh, I've got turbo lasers and I got some Volkite Eradicators. And it's like, oh, you dirty bitch, you know, like busting out other stuff now, I see. So it's getting to be fun. It's I think that's half the enjoyment, is watching everybody kind of scramble and get their stuff ready.
Yeah.
So, and then with Josh, I know Dan kind of mentioned a little bit, you know, you're running a bit of a aggressive list, but you're also running double maniples, right?
Yeah. Well, like Dan said, I'm running Gryphonicus. I think their kind of best feature is that they can just freely swap Reavers around. So I've kind of put that to some good use. I've been running a lot of like Extergimus maniples, which usually is kind of limiting because you have to bring 3 Warlords, whereas for me, I can bring a Warlord and 2 Reavers. I can bring 3 Reavers and then Extergimus. And I think that added strength really benefits the Reaver weapons a lot for things like turbo lasers, laser blasters. Like getting the extra 2 strength for just 1 heat is really powerful on Reavers. So letting me be able to run, and then my main list that I've been bringing is like an Extergimus that can kind of stand back a little bit and shoot, and then a Ferox that can kind of get more in their face. And I think it's just kind of a good range of different Titans. I've got one with two chain fists that's just going to sprint up there and use my Reckless Maverick Princeps trait where I can activate twice. And then I've got, you know, like a shooty Warlord that can stand back and finish something off, or he can split fire and kind of support the forward units. That's just kind of my plan, I guess, is to have a good variety of Titans that can take on different roles.
Yeah, it definitely seems to be working. I know I've faced your army twice now, and it's been pretty awesome to watch it in action. You know, it's both armies are tough to deal with in their own way, so it's fun to play and learn against. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I was just thinking of a game where I brought I played against Josh. I played with my DIY Legio, and I played Fortis, and I literally just brought 2 Warlords and like 3 Reavers or 2 Reavers or whatever it is, and I literally just sat in the corner and shot. And I was just like, my opponent Josh and me were both just like, oh well, I'm literally just sitting here doing nothing, because Fortis benefits from not moving at all. And then Josh brought up a good point: is Fortis should be split with another mana pull, and then that kind of got me thinking into like double mana pulls. I know I'm playing for double Ferox, but for other Legios where you want that, you probably want a shooty back, and then you want a more aggressive front with that mana pull, and that started turning the little hamster wheel in my brain of like, oh, it's just more than just trying to max out a mana pull. It's trying to get, it's almost better to maybe have 2 mana pulls, but having 2 different roles.
Yeah,
they complement each other.
Yeah,
I think we were talking about that the other day. That what's that main mana pull that everyone brings at the beginning?
Axiom.
Axiom, yeah, we're talking about how that one's pretty good on its own, but when you're combining that with another mana pull, it actually kind of decreases its effectiveness, because then you have to decide, like, do I want to do my Axiom ones first, and then if I fail one, the other mana pull can't do any orders, or do I want to do the other mana pull, because then if I fail one, I can't use the benefit of the Axiom. So we're kind of finding that the Axiom actually doesn't work that well in combination with another.
It's true. It's true. I found that out the hard way, because I won't lie, I've been clinging to the Axiom quite a bit, and I'm happy to say I'm kicking off the training wheels, right? Getting rid of that shit, because I have been hurt by it. And it happened in my game where, I failed an Axiom roll, and I'm like, oh, I can still do it, but now the other mana pool can't. Or the turn after I failed the other mana pool, and nothing can happen now. And I was like, oh, that kind of sucks. So it's just tough lessons. But the more we play, I think the more we're learning. I know I'm enjoying the games for the simple fact that I'm starting to get certain things happening in my games where, you know, I'm starting to earn some titles for my Titans. And I've got a particular Warlord build that's been just tough as nails. Really hard to deal with. Not so much hard to deal with, but hard to kill. I've been saving a lot of these critical damage rolls and being able to have them extra repaired. Just from in the Trader Legio book, I've got some upgrades where I'm able to actually deal with them in a way where I can build it where I can, do critical repairs on a 4+.
Unholy Vigor, yeah.
Unholy Vigor. I was just getting to that page there in the book, but it's very much worth it. It's 25 points, and it's made that Warlord just very tough to deal with. So decided to name him Iron Revenant because that thing just never dies and heals up quite nicely in between rounds, and it's been fun that way. But that's what I'm enjoying, is applying now some of our narrative that we're getting from playing these games into our Titans, and eventually I'll do an order to get some nameplates and stuff added on, but building the history of my Legio as we get to play. I think that's kind of one of the big selling features for me.
Sure. I definitely want to do that. Nameplates too, and I kind of have been thinking this Titan's always doing this in the game. Maybe I should give them something related to that, or give them a name related to that, things like that.
Exactly, it's fun.
Yeah. I got an order from BattleBling today, and they sent some sample ones, and one of them just says "Total Badass." I was gonna stick it onto a Custodes or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would Gryphonicus names be? Not to go on a tangent here, but would they just be like speedy names, like Quicksilver,
Gonzalez,
Bullet?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe just birds.
Oh, I guess, yeah.
Pigeon.
There you go.
Yeah. No, I think they're all kind of Latin names in the fluff. Like the Titan of Legend is Bellator Magna, right?
Oh, yeah.
So it's kind of the classic 40k Gothic Latin style stuff.
That's how I was kind of looking at some names. Just type in what I thought sounded cool and translate to Latin, right? And turning some Warhound that was Iron Wolf into Lupo Ferrum. And I'm like, oh, that sounds way better.
Yeah. And there's some cool, there's some trader ones you can just do death metal names or something. But
well, that's all the corn stuff. That's for Vulpa. I wasn't going to go all Latin. It was just going to be like Blood Drinker or, Skull Smasher or whatever, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
And, it was just, I lost my train of thought. Anyways. So,
it's good.
Yeah.
It is good.
And BattleBling does all that. Are they the main guys that do all the nameplates, right? So
it's true.
Yeah, there's the versatile terrain too that
okay.
Nice.
Yeah. I couldn't remember the other name. But thank you, Josh. Because I was like, trying to think of it.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, BattleBling sent a little sampler. I haven't seen any of the versatile terrain ones in real life, but I've seen some nice ones on Instagram and stuff that look good. But so. Yeah.
It's always nice to have options, right? Options that you can order online, and just ways to kind of outfit and customize your Legio. I think it's just Titanicus really seems to have opened the doors to the 3D printing potential that's out there. I know other games have too, but it feels very, very apparent with Titanicus. So,
everything from terrain to different weapons and accessories and stuff.
Yeah, I've been
not to sound negative, it could be partly because Titanicus can be stale because you got the same two heads, right?
That's true.
There's a guy that you got guys that are like, oh, well, I'm going to design 6 different heads, right? And
yeah.
Or if you want them to look chaosy or whatever, right? Or if you want a plasma gun to look rounded rather than square, like you can get that.
It's true. It's true. There's a plethora of options for your Titans and loadouts. I know I ended up getting some weapon banners. I was just curious to see how they'd look, and they look pretty cool. I'm just trying to figure out the best way to put them on. Like, I don't know if gluing will be the best because I don't want them to break off. So I don't know. Might have to figure out a way to either magnetize them or pin them, but
that was my worry. So
yeah. So, and then I know the last month's White Dwarf, they had a how to build your own Legio kind of battle honor banner that you can have and keep track of, and keep track of your Titan kills and all sorts of stuff, which is, again, adding another little narrative layer to the game, which I think will be a lot of fun to explore and just, actually play around with.
Vulpa just collects skulls. They don't need a banner.
That's it, eh? Just a pile of skulls on your base. Let's see how it is. So yeah, it'll be a lot of fun to do that. That event, we've got going on at the end of the month is going to be interesting. It's a de-escalation event where we're starting off at 2,000 points, and you're running, whatever your Maniple and Legio is, and then at the end of the first round, whatever is killed in the game, that's what you have to deduct your points from. So round 2 we drop to 1,600, and you have to remove Titans that have been killed. Now, if you've lost everything in your force, you get to actually pick whichever ones you've lost, and if you lost nothing, you get to pick as well. It makes it a little bit more feel good in nature, but dropping a Warhound and 2 Warhounds, or some Knights and a Warhound, or a Reaver in between rounds is definitely, it hits hard, but I think it really will play to the narrative of attrition that's being felt in the battle. And then round 3 you drop another 400 points, and you go down to 1,200, which I think will be a lot of fun. At first it might seem scary, to try and play it like that, but I've been putting a lot of thought into it, and I bounced some ideas off of one of the gents on the Mournival page, just to see what he's kind of come up with for different events and different styles, and he says it's one of his most popular styles of events, so I definitely wanted to try and emulate that and have fun with it. So for a first round, it'll definitely be something neat to check out. I know we haven't been able to actually play for enough games in a day to actually play it through and drop everything, but just after playing some games, I'm like, wow, like I lost my Warlord. I'm like, oh shit, it's going to be a nasty surprise, because that was like the only Titan I lost. So there's things in place, so no one's really going to be at a hardcore pointed disadvantage. You might be down, maybe 50 to 150 points, but there's things in place where you get an additional strategy point. For every 50 points you are below your opponent. So we kind of have an adapted version of these underdog rules, just to kind of even it out a little bit. And some of the strats some of them are pretty good. I think you can cause enough headaches for people if you play them right, that it'll be fine to do. So it will be fine. Speaking of strats, what are some of your guys' favorite strats to use in game?
Dan, you want to take this one first?
Yeah, I guess other than Warlust and Bloodthirst.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Warlust gives me two inches to my boosted speed, but it also, if you're trying to get a full stride, it's it adds 2 to the dice, and then Bloodthirst, what it does is it makes you roll 2 better for your results. So like my Warhounds would be, when I use it, it's sorry, when I use it, it gives them +2 to the roll. So my Warhounds would normally be hitting on 3s because of Vulpa, but now they'd be hitting on 2s, and so that's when I try to use them in combination. But the strats I like are the ones that work across the board. Those seem to be the ones that I really try to favor.
Mm-hmm.
Ones that are like, oh, every Titan in this Legio gets this for that turn, or I'm trying to think of like other strats other than those 2. I mean, Warp Displacements is pretty popular, but I like the one I know Josh uses all the time. Oh, what's it called? The one where you keep re-rolling your strats, or it just automatically goes off?
Yeah, there's the Iron Resolve. That one's only for loyalists, and yeah, if you fail an order, you can just have it pass, and you can go keep doing orders to other guys too, which is a big advantage.
That's pretty sweet.
So I think I take that one. I take that one every game.
Yeah, and you've used it every game, and it's always been beneficial.
Yeah. I really like the one too for loyalists, the Great Crusade Titans. If you've got some close combat Titan builds, that one it gives you +2 on charge orders, and it also acts as if you've moved an extra 6 inches on your charge, so it basically gives you 2 extra attacks on every charge.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's a good one because those extra 2 attacks, they can make the difference between like really crippling a Titan in the charge phase, even killing it, versus just doing damage, and then it can back up and shoot you to death, right? So it can make a big difference.
No, that's awesome. I know I've been using some gimmicky strats quite often. I like that Haywire Bombardment, or I think it's the Haywire Barrage. I've been using that one quite a bit. Getting some crit rolls early on Titans is kind of a nice little jab to the opponent, and I think I've used it every game. So that part's been...
that one game you did a crit to like 4 of my Titans on the first turn.
Yeah, no, that was pretty sweet. I like that.
I
didn't feel good though.
Not to be take us out of like what our favorite is, but what was that one you played, Josh, where you basically blew up your own Titan?
Oh yeah.
This is called Weapons to Full, I think.
Yeah, Weapons to Full here. Yeah.
Yeah, I used that one against Bill in our last game, and I had almost a full Warlord.
Yeah.
And I read this one before the game, and it was like, shoot all your weapons again. I'm like, oh, that's pretty good when I do it as my Princeps trait, so I think I want to do that as a stratagem. I didn't really read the fine print where it says that every weapon you shoot, you have to roll a d10 on the reactor overload table, and I shot my missile launchers, I think, on my Warlord, just to get some shields down, rolled a 10 immediately, and catastrophic damage.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. That wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah, and then when you played me after, like the next week, and you're really like, yeah, I'm not using that stratagem ever again.
I still think it has its uses, but it just yeah, I'm good. I'll avoid that one for a while.
So would it be better if we're going to talk about it being shitty, maybe we should talk about how we could use it effectively. Would it be better if your Titan's almost dead, like you're literally one shot away from dying? This would be the Hail Mary shot that you kind of would want?
I think so, yeah. Or like if you're close to the opponent, I suppose it could be less risky. I think also just like if you have a more high quality opportunity, like I used it on a turn when I was like, I could put some damage on these 2 Warhounds, or a Warhound and a Reaver, I think it was. And I probably wasn't going to kill either of them. I just kind of wanted to get them started, so that the next turn I'd have a good chance of killing them both. Whereas if I'd waited and I really needed to kill a Titan, then it might be more worth the risk, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was more a timing issue than a strat issue necessarily, but it does, like, you also don't think about it very often on the reactor overload that on a 10, you can go catastrophic because most of the time you're only rolling a d6 on the reactor overload, right? You're not usually in the red, so
that's true.
Yeah, people get the orange usually and go, "Oh shit, I gotta start lowering it now."
Yeah,
exactly, yeah. So that it doesn't happen that often that you're actually rolling a d10 on there.
That's true. That is true.
I'm just trying to think of the other ones that
I've been
actually use and like.
I like the concealment barrage one always.
That one's good.
Yeah.
You know, drop
good
the pie
too,
plate. That one's it can be challenging because you know you have to pick a spot. The opponent can't just maneuver around it and ignore it, right? You have to pick a good area that's actually going to be effective.
It's true.
So it can take a bit more skill, I guess, to place. But
It's true.
when you do place it, it can really give you a big bonus for that turn, just ignoring any incoming damage from a whole section of the board.
Well, that's very true.
Long retreat I've seen used. That's a loyalist one where you can move. You can move outside of your front arc at full speed. So basically, anyways, you can move sideways and backwards at full speed, which I've seen
like the Corsair Manifold, right?
Yeah, basic. That's what I was getting at. But yeah, so you can use this to great effect if you want to try and get like your warlord behind a building or your warhound, strafe them so that he's behind cover, or use it offensively to come out of cover so that you can shoot everything or whatever, right?
Or if you want to back up away from Vulpas, doing
that
16
too, yeah,
charges.
Yeah. That's where I saw it was used. Was the guy tried to go full speed backwards, and the falling one was funny.
That one's good too. Yeah, I like that one.
So that is that last ditch effort or whatever.
Yeah, and so you can choose if you fall. Is it lay low or or the fire one? Yeah. So you can choose what direction your Titan does that. I like that one, but I suppose some matchups you might not end up using it, right?
Yeah.
It's a boomer bust one a bit, but it's only one stratagem point.
Yeah, and it worked out for you last time you used it because you were falling into your own guy and you fell away from him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can use it offensively to fall into the opponent, or you can use it defensively to protect yourself. Yeah.
Interesting.
That's a good one.
Another loyalist one. I don't have my trader book, so I'm just reading through the loyalist ones here. Only forward looks like it could be pretty good too. Play the stratagem at the start of any strategy phase. For the remainder of the phase, any units, so all your Titans, may be issued full stride or charge orders without the need of command checks.
That's pretty sweet.
So any time where you don't have to roll for command checks is a win for me.
Yeah.
Because you could be a Princeps with the 2+ and still roll that goddamn 1. So
there's the other one too. Wages of Betrayal, which is kind of the opposite of that one, I think, right? Where it does -2 command checks for your opponents.
Okay.
Yeah, so by a loyalist player, for the duration of the round, enemy Titans suffer -2 to command checks, or -3 for Princeps or Norris. So kind of the opposite of that. Of instead of giving Nora command checks a benefit, you give your opponents a negative.
A neutral one, or a versatile one is experimental locomotors. Being able to boost your speed and just have to roll a d10 at the end of the end phase I think is a good one.
That can be pretty nice. Yeah, I know.
It's only one strat, and you give it to a warlord, and your warlord's just moving 6 inches up the table,
which is handy. They're a little bit slow otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I've been having fun with experimental weapon. I've kind of based my one warlord build around it, where I'm running 2 double Sun Fury, and I was taking Gattlers, the paired Gatling blasters, and I started to play the paired Apocalypse missile launchers, where they gain the maximal fire trait, But this last round, it really really did me dirty. Just fire, and they always have to fire on maximal fire, where trying to pop shields, and my reactor went up 4 points just from one volley, and I was like, well, shit. I don't know if I want to fire the rest, so
Yeah.
it's a double-edged sword, but it's fun. It's fun. Those gimmicky first hit ones are pretty sweet. The artillery bombardment, I really started to fall in love with, just because you can use it every turn. That one.
And a good thing we realized about those artillery bombardments too is that they're not blast weapons, right? So if you roll the target on the scatter dice, they don't move at all, right? Which is kind of a nice little bonus.
That's true. Yeah, those actually will hit if you roll a hit.
Yeah.
So that's pretty sweet.
Yeah. Because that's part of the blast weapon rule specifically, right?
Yeah.
I like that one too, especially if you're playing some knights. It's nice to just drop a strength 8 pie plate on them first turn.
Yep. Let it rip. So let it rip.
Yeah, I've been finding that I almost want to build lists around some stratagems.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, stratagems sometimes they just seem like people show up and they're like, oh, I got strats. I guess I'll read through the book and figure out what I need to buy. Or there's sometimes people show up, like me or Josh or, Bill now, where we show up and we're like, okay, I got all my 6 ready, or 5 or 4 or whatever. Okay, let's get ready to use them.
Yeah.
It's no fucking around. I already know what I'm doing. I'm already prepared for this.
I do think strats though are a little weird to read. Like when I'd only played a game or two, I was reading through the strats and I was like, none of these seem good, right? Whereas now I've played a few more games and I've used some of the strats and I see their uses and see their different values that I didn't at first probably.
Well, yeah,
because last week. Sorry, Dan.
Oh no, go ahead. I was going to cut you off, but yeah, go ahead.
Well, last week we both kind of used Dawn Attack to pretty good results, whereas I think when I first read that one, I thought, well, why would I want this, right? But I don't know, the Dawn Attack, it reduces your range to a dice roll for the first 2 turns, and first Dan used that with his Vulpa to prevent him from getting shot the first turn.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next game I was playing against Dan, and he had a more shooty list, so I used that to kind of get into range so that he couldn't shoot me off the board before I could return fire, right? So that one also might not seem good on paper, but
yeah. I was playing Legio Defensor, which their whole gimmick is to shoot first turn twice. And so he literally did this to me, and I rolled pretty crappy for a lot of my guys, and they couldn't see further than 15, 20 inches, and I'm just like, oh, yeah, so my whole gimmick of my Legio just basically went out the window, and I was just like, man.
Yeah, although I do think we did forget the part of the Dawn Attack where if you shoot, you can shoot that Titan.
Oh, yeah, we did.
As if it's uncovered after, right? So maybe it's actually not as good as it seemed in the game that we used it, but...
Yeah, maybe I was just bummed.
We do have to keep that.
Just like, whatever. But yeah, you're right. As soon as one shoots... Oh, yeah.
Yeah, once the Titan shoots, you can just shoot it, yeah.
Because it lights them up. Yeah, we forgot
we definitely forgot that, yeah.
That was my 3rd or 2nd time using it, and that was your 1st time using it. So
yeah,
I have to definitely remember.
Next time won't be as effective.
But yeah, you're right that some of these strats, they don't seem very useful when you first read them at first glance. Because I was just thinking about this falling one, right? Where it's like, oh fuck, who cares if you can change the position of the thing? But now that you've seen Titans fall into each other with a collision, you're like, oh crap, that Titan's gonna die now because now he's gonna hit with D6 strength 8 hits to a location, right? And it's like, and then if it's a warlord, it's even worse because it's strength 10. And now you're like, oh crap, he's gonna obliterate that warhound if he's falling into him too. Like, so if he's falling into his ass, he's like, oh, then he's doing strength 12, and you're like, oh, I rolled the body and I rolled 6 on the D6. Oh, I wish I had one strat that would just change his direction, right? Like,
yeah. Then instead of losing 2 Titans in one, you could limit your damage. Yeah.
Not to say that it's an auto take, but that was just my example of strats that might seem useless at first glance, and then after seeing how things work in the game, realizing that, oh, maybe that is important.
Definitely, yeah.
Like Veteran Princeps is another one that at first glance I was like, oh, who cares if I get +1 to my command rolls? But I was just like, after, you know, failing those 2s and 3s and 1s and stuff, you're just like, fuck, I wish they had a better leadership. And now that we're playing Corrupted Titans that are always at like a -1 or 2, you know, my Vulpa guys are leadership 7, and I'm just like, I could never make a full stride.
Yeah, it's never happening.
It's true.
Just trying to do the order is a Hail Mary.
Yeah.
So, just crazy.
But there's a lot of nuance to the game.
Yeah, there's lots of evolving and I think that's part of the community, is that, you know, you might play, because in the beginning we were just like, no strats, that's just going to complicate things, and then we started adding strats, and then one guy used one strat, and you're like, oh, what's that strat? And then it just we kind of, you know, turned into I guess an arms race in a sense of like, oh, I got to find the better strat, and now I'm actually learning and studying it, because originally we were overwhelmed because it was just like, there's like 3 or 4 pages of strats, and we're like 5 pages actually, and we're like, this is too complicated, let's just ignore it for now. And now it's like part of the game,
and a big part of the game too. Like, it lets you adapt a bit to your enemies list and your enemies play style.
It does.
And yeah, and what's good about it is everyone gets access to it. I know there's traitors and loyalist ones, but they're all sort of similar in ways. Mm-hmm. But I mean, what it does is it takes, other than a Legio giving your Titans flavor, this just ramps that up, because now you're giving them extra flavor by putting that salt or pepper on it, right? And so now you can make it your own, you know, Legio. Oh, you know, like, my guy always does this, like you guys were saying, like, I'm always going to use this, or if you were like the experimental weapons, I'm always going to put experimental weapons on this guy because that's his Titan, that's what that Titan does. Right?
No, it's true. It is nice. I like the extra flavor, like you mentioned, that gets brought in from the strats, and I know as we start to kind of get more comfortable, we'll start adding in some of the terrain damage, blowing up rules and stuff like that, just to add that other layer, right? And eventually, you know, when we're playing these games, especially if you're using those open war engine cards, you know, you've got battlefield effects, planetary effects, you start having stray shot rules. Like, there's a lot of stuff you can do in this game, and you keep adding all these layers on, and I highly suggest taking it in baby steps, just to make sure everyone's on the same page and you move up and keep kind of bumping up the game. But it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of stuff happening in these games.
A lot of it feels very realistic too. Like the falling and all the different aspects of it just feel immersive.
It does. No, it does for sure. So
yeah, and yeah, like Josh was saying, realistic, because I like to personally explain, like, oh yeah, this is the reason why your Titan's going all crazy on a, you know, machine spirit thing. Like, it's saying, fuck you, I'm gonna repair myself or back up or whatever, right? So yeah, because if you listen to the books, sometimes the books they like, especially in Titan Death, when the one guy's getting corrupted by Khorne, his warlord's trying to always run, and he's like, no, we gotta stand and shoot, and he's just like, the Titan's like fighting him the whole time. And
yeah, it is cool. I definitely like the machine spirit rules in the game. It does give them their own feel, and every once in a while they slip the leash and go buck wild, or they just walk up, you know, 3 inches and stand there. So it is fun to play. So, but that kind of rounds out the episode. Just basically I'm just excited to play more games. I'll be honest, guys. I'm pretty pumped.
Yeah, me too.
So I
Too.
have to say, like, thank you, Josh. Thank you, Dan, for coming on and spreading some Titanicus love on the channel. And again, it's always nice to have those chats. And I know we'll be having games this weekend. It'll be pretty good. Dan and I actually will be playing tomorrow. So, and then yeah, we'll have more games on Sunday. It'll just a weekend of brawling, so it'll be pretty sweet. But yeah, thank you everybody for listening. Oh, sorry, Josh, were you gonna say something?
Oh, I was just gonna say thank you for inviting me. And
oh yeah.
Well, we talked about you like 2 or 3 times now in the last couple episodes. And I was just like, we gotta get them on. And then John's like, I don't even have a headset. And I'm like, you got a phone. Just use your phone.
Yeah. Jump on. So.
Well, you guys are so professional. Like, I thought I needed a big mic set and stuff.
No, I'm literally just using my phone and its head jack.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you got.
Yeah.
Anywhere you go, man, you got the Hobo Discord studio. You can do whatever you want. So it works out great. So yeah, again, thanks guys for jumping on, and thanks for listening, everybody. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know if you guys are having games. Keep using that hashtag Trident Wargaming. We keep seeing your pictures on Instagram. We're loving it, and yeah, I've been getting some good feedback on some of the pics of the games I've been posting. So yeah, let us know what you think. What strats do you like? You know, you guys playing? Just hit us up. We love the interaction, and we'll definitely catch you next time.
Trident Wargaming. Build it, paint it, play it.